to time, I often have questions that keep bugging me, and I'm always wondering if anyone's thinking what I'm thinking. I mean, how do you know when you're supposed to act? And how do you know when you allow the universe, the forces of nature, the almighty source, the highest intelligence, to do its thing without you interfering, without you being a blocker of what is already being done, what doesn't even require your input, or you just need to stay put and just not do anything? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, there are certain things that we don't do that are being done already. How do you know which one you are supposed to do so that you don't muddle things up? For instance, you don't digest your own food. I mean, there are already systems in your body that automatically does that for you without you needing to do anything. You're also not in charge of your own breathing. You might think that you are, but your body sort of breathes on its own without actually needing your physical input. Otherwise, when you are asleep, who's doing it? So imagine if we were given the task to breathe by ourselves every minute. Some people would have died long ago because, hey, they will just get so distracted and forget to inhale any oxygen. So it's better for the body to do its thing. So it turns out that there are automatic processes that take place in this world that keep the wheels turning and making sure that things are going smoothly. Just like your body is processing yesterday's lunch, and it doesn't have to phone you and say, girl, it's digestion time. Wake up, let's do this. So also in this part of creation, there are forces doing their own thing. Unseen hands carefully and lawfully directing everything so that life is fair, life is just, life is sane. These are the automatic laws of creation. They work tirelessly and precisely to give to each human being exactly what they deserve. So why then do we worry about things? Why do we fret about the small stuff? Why do we think a situation is unjust, unfair, unlucky, undeserving? You see, those words, they don't actually exist in creation's dictionary. Everything is within the laws until we stubbornly go against it. So how do we know that we are not going against it? That is my question. We have a free will, yes, and this free will is the gift that makes us human. And with it, we can set things in motion and change situations for ourselves. But whilst we're doing that, I ask you again, how do you know that in exerting your free will, you have not jumped the gun already and created a worse situation for yourself and even made life more difficult for yourself in the future with all of your actions? So check this out. And this really blew my mind when I came to this realization that despite having a free will, it turns out that we were still blessed with the tool that would help us, that we would need to make the right decisions after all. Imagine such grace that you're given a free will to choose, but then they still give you something to accompany it, to help you so that you know how to make the right choice. That should have been a win-win for us all, to know when, where, and how to act. But this tool, which is our intuition, we have since abandoned. So every decision we make, 99% of it is in limbo, without power, without guidance, most likely wrong and definitely of bad timing, so that it brings nothing but pain and suffering. And looking from above, taking action without guidance, it's like carrying a loaded gun around and without warning, you just be aimlessly firing into the crowd. Well, sooner or later, you're bound to hit family members or your relative or somebody, or even mistakenly turn that gun at yourself and fire because you're too erratic and misguided. I'll give you a little scenario that happened to me whilst I was visiting in Lagos in April. I had my old iPhone and I said to myself, well, someone is bound to need this iPhone when I get over there. So instead of it just lying around, let me put it in my bag. And on arriving in Lagos, I didn't have anyone in particular that I wanted to give it to. So I left it in my bag for days, almost as if I was looking for the right moment to bring it out. But that moment didn't show up. So I waited, even 2 days before I was about to leave, the phone was still in my bag. And then suddenly, my brother said to me, "Oh, I mistakenly dropped my phone and it just shattered." I immediately thought, "Oh yeah, of course. I came with a phone. That's easy. I have a phone that he can use." But then I went to the room that I was staying at my parents' house to reach for my bag. And in that moment, it was as if I heard a clear voice of my intuition saying, "Don't touch that phone. It's not for him." In Nigeria, we say, I shook. I thought, this is silly. Just go and give him the phone. You're not even going to do anything with it. You brought it for that very reason, to give it to someone who needs it. But somehow this voice was subtle, yet loud and clear. I dropped the phone back in my bag. And even as I was leaving, I still felt very bad, thinking, why did I bring this phone all the way? And, I ended up not giving it to anyone. My intellect kept bugging me. You're not a nice person. You have these phones and you're not even sharing. But then weeks after I arrived back, I forgot all about the incident. And then fast forward, it's July, 3 months later. We wake up one morning and my youngest daughter says, she comes into my room and she says, "My phone won't come on, won't turn on. I charged it all through the night and it's just not coming on." The phone was dead. It just so happened that it was the morning of my eldest daughter's graduation from college. So we all had to be there. And it meant that the younger one would have to find her way back home by herself. And she would need a working phone for her to be able to book her Uber to come and pick her up. So we looked around and thought, there's no spare phone in this house. And then suddenly, I saw a picture of the handbag that I had taken to Lagos. And I saw a picture of the phone in it. I went straight to that bag saying, I hope I didn't give it to anybody. I hope that phone is still in there. And lo and behold, the phone was sitting in there with 25%, waiting for who needed it the most. I felt relieved. We charged it and we put her SIM card in it so that she was good to go. Now, this might not seem like anything, but sometimes not doing is in itself an action. And this is what the Buddhists call Doership, knowing the right time to do so that you don't upset the balance of things, and knowing when to abstain so that you don't muddle up the waters. And the only way one can begin to achieve this, baby steps of course, is to continually listen to that inner voice, to strengthen the muscle of your intuition, so that you train it to speak up a little louder and give you a heads up, which will then be the guiding factor for the decisions that you make, both big and small, whether it be who gets a phone or which house to buy. I could have gotten emotional about the whole thing and say, but that's my brother, he needs the phone, he's the reason I brought it to Nigeria. But without that prompting that I received not to act, I would have succumbed, and yet there was a future ahead where the phone was going to play a more crucial role. I've realized that my life is just a storybook that's playing out so that I can discover myself within myself, if that makes sense at all. We just need to keep a keen eye and we'll see the careful mastermind behind everything. So this is just a small example of the decisions that we make without careful forethought that ends up landing us in troubled waters. And yet almost every religion and every spiritual teaching will say, let his will be done in our lives, or total submission to the will of the Almighty. And yet, do we ever ask ourselves, is my action according to his will? How will his will be done? How will I know what is his will so that I'm not my own blocker from his will that is coming to me? It's not worth living a life without guidance, without a higher force propelling you. Otherwise, it will be like scattering seeds on a stormy day. It will mostly get blown away and very, very few will end up in the soil, let alone begin to sprout. So don't play Russian roulette on this beautiful life that you've been blessed with. Be connected so that your actions can begin to merge seamlessly with his will in creation. Like a symphony that's being played by the best orchestra all you hear is beautiful music. You don't even know who is the pianist, who is the violinist. It's just beautiful. It flows. Let your life begin to flow so that your actions don't cause harm or suffering, but only pure joy. So until next time, be gentle with yourself and each other. Bye for now.